What's going on? It's me, Charlie. I'm going to show you how to smoke a delicious Texas-style brisket. Let's get it. I bought an 18-pound choice cut brisket at HEB. This brisket has some good marbling on it for its choice cut, but I trimmed off about 3 to 4 pounds of fat. For my rubs, I'm using Meat Church Holy Cow and Meat Church Holy Gospel. I'm really excited to see how these two rubs turn out on the brisket. I use the Holy Cow as my primary base rub, and then I use the Holy Gospel as my light secondary rub. One thing that I did differently this time is that I actually trimmed the brisket and seasoned it the day before, and I let it set in the fridge for a whole day. That way the rub and seasoning could marinate inside the meat. My beverages of choice for this cook were Don Julio, Añejo tequila, as well as some ice cold ultras. It's a long cook, so you need to stay hydrated. The wood of choice that I'm using is post oak, and then I'm finishing it up with mesquite. Mesquite burns pretty hot, so towards the middle to the end of the cook, I just need to make sure that I watch my fire and make sure that the temperature doesn't rise too high. We just got a lot of rain in Houston too, so it is super humid outside. So I think that humidity is also going to help the brisket stay nice and moist. It sucks, but it's going to help with the cook. Alright, so once the fire is ready, I went ahead and put my brisket on the pit in the middle. I let the point face the firebox, and then also I put in a small metal water pan right next to the firebox to make sure that there's enough moisture in the pit. But with the humidity the way that it is, I think we're going to be just fine. You know how it is. Great barbecue means watching that fire and maintaining a steady temperature. So you're going to want to maintain that temperature at 225 degrees. Alright, so for the first part of the cook, you're going to basically cook the brisket at 225 degrees for about 4 to 6 hours. You want to have the brisket's temperature reach 165 degrees. So that's the goal, is to basically get a lot of smoke on the meat and then start that cooking process, as well as give the brisket a nice, good bark. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray it down with a water bottle every hour to make sure that it stays moist. Alright, so once the brisket reaches 165 degrees, I'm going to pull it off the pit and then I'm going to wrap it in butcher paper. Now, something that I did different this time is I put in half or a quarter stick of butter to help keep it moist and juicy. And another thing that I did was I wrapped it in double butcher paper, but I wrapped it horizontally, which is something new that I did, but I made sure that it was super tight, basically like you're swaddling a baby. Alright, so then to finish off the cooking process, I'm going to put this back on the pit and maintain it at 225 degrees until the internal temperature of the brisket reaches about 205 to 210 degrees. Okay, so this final step is super important. Once the brisket reaches 205 to 210 degrees, you're gonna pull the brisket off of the pit, but leave it wrapped up. Do not unwrap it. When I picked up the brisket, it was super jiggly inside the wrapped butcher paper, so I knew that it was gonna be fire. Now, I brought it inside, put it in a pan, and then I let it rest for about 5 hours. Resting your brisket is so important. Alright, so now here's the payoff. You unwrap and check it out. This brisket is super moist. It is super tender. It is just falling apart as I pick it up. I think the combination of how I wrapped the brisket plus adding that little bit of butter and allowing it to rest really helped this brisket turn out amazing. So then you're ready to slice your brisket. You're gonna slice the flat, and then you're gonna rotate the point, and then you're gonna slice the point. I have another video where I walk you through those steps of how to slice the brisket. There's the fatty part of the brisket, the point right there. It came out so juicy, so tender. I'm so happy with it. So another challenge is getting the flat to turn out juicy, and this one is juicy all the way across. I am so happy it's consistently juicy and tender. I like to slice my brisket in thick slices, especially on the point. I just think it's a nice meaty bite. Alright, so there it is. It was a 12-hour cook with a 5-hour resting time, and we got a perfect brisket for Labor Day weekend. College football is going down. One thing that I'm going to leave you with is don't be intimidated by brisket. You got to try it, and you might mess up, but the more that you do it, the better that you get. Thanks for watching my video, and if you like this, I have some more videos on my channel. Please like and subscribe to Texas Cooking with Charlie Mack.